Hello, brothers and sisters. Here we are again, still in the gospel, and now finally listen to the words of Jesus. And we'll actually start where else but the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness. Now, here's the thing I know what I'm going to present will probably bother most of you because it's not the traditional way of understanding this verse, the traditional way of understanding Jesus' word. But again, I want to look at it in its proper context. What else is going on, and from where are Jesus' words coming from? He's actually quoting scripture. And when you look at that scripture, what is that talking about? Now, with that said, the scripture itself is when Jesus says and answers to Satan, men shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Typical application, we need to be reading the Bible. That we need more spiritual nourishment than physical nourishment. But is that really the way that Jesus is answering Satan? Is that really his point? Like I said, traditionally, that's what we say. But I want to look at what else is going on in the sense of what are the other two temptations about and how has Jesus responded to them? So, verse 5. Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on your hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. Jesus said to him, Again it is written, You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. So, second temptation, the devil trying to put him to the test. Prove yourself that you're a son of God. Do something amazing. Have God, do a miracle in your life. And Jesus' response is, I'm not going to test God in that way. I'm not going to push him in that way. I'm going to trust God to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. Think about that. By not throwing himself over, he's saying, I'm not going to push God by faith and say, you have to help me. I'm going to trust that God will do what's right. It's even more clear when you get to the third and final temptation. He says, Again the devil took him to the very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, Begone, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. So again, this idea is don't trust God to give you the kingdoms in the world, which is what God has said. In Isaiah, he clearly tells them that Christ will be the inheritor of all the world. Here's Satan saying, don't trust God, trust me, I'll give them to you, just bow down. And Jesus responds once again and saying, no, I will trust God, I will worship him only, and let him do his plan in my life. His will be done, not mine. I think that's interesting that both times all about Satan trying to test Jesus to not trust God, and Jesus saying, "No, I will trust God." That was the original temptation in the Garden of Eden, right? Don't trust God about the fruit of good and evil, but trust me and eat some, and they did. Now here's Satan doing again the same kind of testing, and Jesus saying, "No, I will trust God," which is why I think the first temptation is the same thing. When he says, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. Show that you're really divine. Feed yourself. Eat the fruit of God of good and knowledge and become your own God. But he answered, It is written, Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. I don't think Jesus is saying that we need spiritual nourishment. I think he's saying we need to trust God to provide what we need. And that makes even more sense when you realize where is this text taken from. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3, Moses is talking to the people in the desert, and here's what he says. So he, God, humbled you, allowed you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your father know, that he, God, that he might make you know that men shall not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord. What word exactly? Well, we kind of saw it last time, or at least a couple of videos ago with Isaiah, when God was saying clearly that when he proclaimed things, they happen. The same way when rain comes down, it nourishes the ground and food comes out of it. That God decrees that it will be a good harvest or a bad one. It seems like that's exactly what God or Moses was saying to the people. That God did all this to show you that it's not about you working hard to get your food. God provides the food whenever He speaks it, whenever He decides. Trust God. It was all about trusting God. That was a big thing in the desert. That was a big thing with Adam and Eve. And I believe it's the same thing with Jesus. Jesus was not answering that we need spiritual nourishment, but saying you need to trust God. He will provide what you need. Feel free to disagree, but I think it makes more sense to see from Eden to the desert to Jesus being the true Adam, the true Israel, and trusting God. Not saying it's wrong for us to be feeding spiritually, of course not, but I'm saying let's understand what Christ was answering the devil. Trust God. I believe that is way more a calling to trust our God. That's what you need to do. With that said, brothers and sisters, hopefully we do trust God to take care of us in every sense possible instead of trying it on our own. Be blessed.